The first Minecraft live event for 2025 just finished up. I won't go through all the different features that they announced, but even some features that were not announced during the Minecraft live, as I was given some behind the scene information that I'm allowed to give to you guys. Hello there, Ray here, and they first started with the pre-show where they went through different content creators and they showed off what they enjoyed about Minecraft. And then after the pre-show came the main event where they counted down, and when they started, they first did a little section kind of explaining what was different about this year's Minecraft live event, as we're actually getting 2 Minecraft live events in 1 year. They say they did this so they can keep their players more up to date on what's going on in the background. Where in the past we normally get one that was in the fall time, so I'm guessing they're keeping that one, and then we now have this new one which is in the springtime. They also explained that they switched over from doing updates to drops to give more frequent updates but in smaller doses. So there's not going to be as much crazy stuff per update, but there's just going to be more of them throughout the year. Personally, I kind of like the big drops because they got more attention from all the Minecraft players. When they do tons of little drops, people who are kind of like so-so into Minecraft don't really pay attention to them. And the numbering system is a little bit confusing when it comes to the drops, as they have 3 different digits that we have to keep track of, like 1.21.5. But what do you think of this change that they've been doing more recently? Then they announced the name for the next Minecraft update, which is the Spring to Life update. That is a 1.21.5 update for Java, and I think it's 1.21.80 for Bedrock Edition. And this is one that brings in the kind of smaller changes that are throughout the world to kind of bring more life, hence the name Spring to Life. And then they talk about the changes and how they influence the game with the warm and cold mobs, and how the mobs were taken after in real life mobs. So it's pretty cool for them to confirm exactly what type of mob each of these were. And this is an update that comes in with the different mood variants of dogs, which took after the different in real life dogs you could run into. Talked about the changes to the spawn eggs, so they're easier to notice, as well as the cartographers give you maps so you can easily find different structures throughout your world. Then there was this animation of this guy kind of pointing out the different features that came out in the update, which was appropriate since the Wandering Traders are one of them that gets some new trades in the game. Then they went on to show some sneak peeks of the Minecraft movie, talking about how realistic it was and how fun it was for the actors to be in such a Minecraft realm looking place. With this new scene where they check out the villagers, and Steve explains how the villagers are pacifists as well as vegetarian. I never thought about that, but it is true. And they come across the Iron Golem, which is protecting the village. And then they come across his chicken shop, and this is where they get to cook the chickens. We talk about how when the movie's coming out in theaters on the 4th of April. And there's also a plugin that you can play in Bedrock Edition where you can actually play as the characters in the Minecraft movie. And they show a little bit of this gameplay at the end of the live stream. Then they announced something called Vibrant Visuals, which is kind of like shaders that they're going to put into the default game. This is coming to Bedrock Edition, but eventually will also come to the Java Edition. It adds shadows when the sun's like moving across the sky, but the shadows aren't going to affect stuff like mob spawning or anything like that, just for looks. Also, some things will pop out, like the eyes in different colors will glow, and things like water will actually reflect images. There's also something really strange, which is when things put off shadows, their shadows are actually going to line up with the pixels in the game, which is really crazy. I don't know how much power that's going to take for your computer to calculate all that, but it does make it feel more Minecraft-y. Not like any of the fancy visual changes, there'll be a way to toggle it on or off. So if you don't have like a high-end computer, you can still run without having too much lag to your frames per second. I've never tried out shaders in Minecraft, so it'll be interesting once this comes to the default game, as I try to keep everything in my videos using the default textures as well as the shaders in order to make it more relatable to as many people as possible, as much of the stuff I do is very technical and can be confusing as it is. But what do you think of the Vibrant Visuals? Would you actually play with these on? Then they showed us the features that are coming out in the next update, so like 1.21.6 or 1.22, which includes the dried ghast. The dried ghast can be found inside of the Nether Dimension. And then this is actually a block similar to like a mob head, or you can craft the dried ghast blocks by using bone blocks and ghast tears, making them a renewable resource. And it can be broken with your fist to obtain it as an item. Then you can take the dried ghast into the overworld and then waterlog it, and then wait 20 minutes, where after 20 minutes of being hydrated, it turns into a hydrated block. And then the face on the ghast will slowly convert over into a happy ghast. And then after 20 minutes, the block itself will actually convert into a ghastling, which is an actual entity mob in your game. and then it just kind of spawns and starts flying around, and the ghastling forms will follow players or mobs around. You can grow up this kind of baby version of the ghast by using snowballs on it, just like you would feed any type of baby mob in the game, to speed up the time it takes for it to grow up into a large ghast. When it turns into a large one, it's called a happy ghast. It has a happy face instead of the kind of scary mad face that the normal ghast have in the nether dimension. And if you're holding out snowballs, the ghast will come towards you. You can also craft a harness in order to ride it. This is done with 3 leather, 2 glass, and a wool block, and then you can just click on it to ride it, and then you can hold shift to dismount. Now they really didn't explain how you move, but I think you're using like your WASD keys, but maybe to go downwards you have to aim downwards. Now the ghast can have up to 4 players also riding it, with the main player in the front, and that's the player who controls the actual ghast movement. They showed how you can park the ghast and then stand on top of it and use it as a platform in order to build when you're working on something up in the air, so you don't need to use like a bunch of scaffolding or temporary blocks. This will be really great for builders, especially all those crazy things that people like to build up in the air. So it turns out the Minecraft leaks that were shown on Reddit are somewhat true. There is a new flying creature that the players can ride that's kind of like a mid-game elytra. Now they said that the creature was white, and it is white, and it said it had like little wings on it, but these don't really have wings because these are ghast, they have little tentacles. And they said that the player can ride them, which you can ride these by crafting these harnesses that go over top of them, which what was shown in the Minecraft sneak peek, where the player dropped 2 leather, 2 glass, and a wool block, which is a crafting recipe in order to make the harness, as it uses the 2 glass to make the goggles for the ghast, the 2 leather to make the leather saddle, and the wool in order to make the little blanket that's underneath of it. But the way to obtain this mob doesn't seem to be associated with the leaks, where they said you had to look at the mob and it would come to you, and then you could just kind of jump onto it and ride it. And they said that they're not planning to have a way to breed the 2 happy ghasts, so you're always going to have to go back to the nether in order to get more. And unlike the Reddit leak, they didn't talk about using these ghasts and their tentacles to pick up mobs whatsoever, but if you can stand on it, that means you can make other mobs stand on top of it as well. So you can have one person like controlling the ghast and another person that is constantly keeping like a horse on top of it. But there's also some really cool things you can do with this, similar to like a boat, where you can hold withers inside of a wither cage just by having these unique collisions. Which means we could fly this thing up into the void above or below the world, and you can have a void platform way up there, and then you can put down some like chest boats to have storage up there, so no one could ever find or disturb your base. The real question is what's going to happen when this collision meets other entities? Like, can you use these ghasts to push mobs like we can use normal ghast to? And if we could put this happy ghast into a minecart, then we can have this kind of like big wall that would just push things, or even just open and close to make like a massive door. Of course, there's tons of minigame things you can do with this, such as like a parkour course where the ghasts are moving, so you have to time your jumps. And because the ghast moves slowly, you can combine this with the lead mechanics, where you can put like a villager in a boat and then put a lead on the boat and then jump onto the ghast, and because it's moving slowly, it's not going to break the lead like elytras do easily. You can gather a whole bunch of different mobs and transport them across the air over to your base, where before you would normally take them over some water because it's flat and easy to move them without the leads breaking. Also, when the player is standing on top of it, there's no one currently controlling it, and it looks like what it does is it lifts up its goggles to show that it has no one in control. But while you're riding the ghast, you can interact with the different things like carrying a map, shooting a bow, or using your spyglass. But unlike the Reddit leaks, it doesn't seem like there's any limit to how long you can ride it or how high or low you can go with it. And it doesn't seem like the more players you have on it, the slower it goes. So it's very possible that the Reddit leaks were just from the early stages of them developing this mob, and we'll probably still not see these happy ghasts until the summer drop, which is usually around June. I think it's cool that they're coming out with this mid-game elytra type of feature. It is much slower than elytra, but it has other benefits like having multiple players and easier to obtain early game. What crazy things will you try to do with the happy ghast? They then finished the main show, then went on to the after show. In the after show, they played around with the upcoming new features like the cold and hot mobs, as well as new vegetation. Then they tried out the new locator bar by having kind of a game of hide and seek, where they try to find them while they're crouching. They can't really see them on the locator bar. And then they played around with the new gasoline and happy gas by going to another dimension, finding one of the dried gas. And here we learned that you can actually use a lead on them because they're like a passive mob. They grew their gas up, then they showed how you can use different color wool in order to make different colored harnesses. So this made a lime green one, which gives your individual gas a unique look. Then they tried it out on a base where they parked it just by hopping off of it. They were dismounted in the center of the gas, which is nice so you don't get like dismounted in the mid-air and drop down to your death. And then from there they were able to hop over onto the floating build. But as soon as the last player hopped off of it, then the gas kind of just floated away. So it's probably good to use a lead on the gas to keep it there or put it in some type of pen. They also showed the new happy gas eggs as well as the different color harnesses. And then they use them in order to build underneath of the base just by moving the gas around. And you can see they're actually building pretty efficiently by doing this, which would have been pretty difficult. You'd have to like place down water before and then go down with water and stack down and then come back with a platform underneath to actually build underneath of it. Or you'd have to try to fly around the elytra, which was even harder yet to do. Then they played a mini game where they did like a race course, but with the new happy gas. And as you can see, the gas go really slowly. But when they try to take a shortcut by going through the lava here, unlike normal gas, it turns out the happy gas actually start on fire and they will die. So they don't have the same properties as like a normal gas. After that, then they played a little bit of the in-game for a Minecraft movie. This is where you can play as the different characters in this map. There's different shops where you can buy stuff, including Steve's Chicken. You can also find different things throughout the map and collect them, and play mini games where you have to do certain things. But if you complete all the mini games, supposedly you're given a cape. I don't know if the cape is something that's just on Bedrock Edition, kind of like the player skins, or if something that's also coming to Job Edition. But if I learn anything about that, I'll make sure to put it down in the pinned comment. And that summarizes the entire Minecraft Live event 2025. Make sure to leave a like on the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!